Everybody knows the Toyota 4Runner. For over 4 decades, this thing has ruled the world by being one of the greatest SUVs ever created on the face of this planet. The 4Runner has a very special place in my heart because I personally have a 4Runner and I grew up with a 4Runner as a kid. And after a solid 15 years with Toyota's 5th generation 4Runner, we have been given the all-new 6th generation. This week I have the privilege of bringing you all along on a field trip to Wolf Den Run State Park on the very western edge of Maryland. The last time I've been here was 2019, my senior year of high school with my Tacoma. So they've only expanded this area even more. So we have a whole lot to explore. So let's get started with the new Toyota 4Runner. Just before we get going, just so you know what this thing is if you don't already, this is a 2025 Toyota 4Runner TRD Pro in Toyota's new mud bath color. This one, of course, it has many options on it, like the roof rack you see on top, which is $1,700, an onboard air compressor that's $1,300, among many other things, brings the MSRP of this 4Runner as we see it right next to me to $73,000. That's $20,000 more than the Passport Trail Sport that I saw last week. Granted, that is a completely different vehicle and this thing will eat anything the Passport will do. Personally, if I was to get a new 4Runner, I would go for the TRD Off-Road. Sure, it doesn't have the HotWheels style of the TRD Pro, but I don't necessarily need that. And the 4Runners are very capable out of the box as they are. This one does have a whole slew of off-road technology. Something that's very new is a disconnecting front sway bar in the 4Runners and Land Cruisers. Of course, the TRD Pro has upgraded suspension front and rear. It's a little bit taller, it has these larger tires. But something about the suspension that bothers me is that you have to manually adjust from firm to soft. If you're on the road and you don't want body roll, you'll put it on firm. It really has a firm ride on the road. But you have to manually go to each shock and put it on soft. Personally, I don't feel like getting on my knees and doing that. I'd rather have a computer do it. If you're just looking to get into a 4Runner and you don't need the Hot Wheels charm of the TRD Pro, thankfully Toyota offers many other flavors, starting at, of course, the SR5 for about $44,000, TRD Sport, TRD Off-Road, TRD Off-Road Hybrid, TRD Sport Premium, TRD Off-Road Premium, TRD Off-Road Premium Hybrid, Limited, Platinum, TRD Pro like this one, and then the Trail Hunter for almost $70,000. So there's a wide range of 4Runner spectrum, but of course most of us will be on the lower to mid-range of that anyway. Something the 4Runner hasn't had in 15 years with the 5th gen is 2 available powertrains. Now I will go down memory lane. The 1st gen you could get either a naturally aspirated 4-cylinder, and in the later years a V6. The 2nd gen you could get the same 4-cylinder known as the 22RE, or you could get a 3-liter V6. The 3rd gen, you could get the 2.7-liter 4-cylinder or the 3.4-liter V6. 4th gen, you could get the 4-liter V6 or the 4.7-liter V8. The 5th gen only in 2010 got a 4-cylinder, a 2.7, but for the most part they got the 4-liter as well. The 4Runner is going back to 4 cylinders for 2025. My friends, I introduce to you the T24 FTS. We previously saw this engine in the Land Cruiser. It's a 2.4-liter dual overhead cam 4-cylinder. Of course, it is turbocharged. You can get a non-hybrid version of the 4Runner. That's maybe what I'd get. But because of this hybrid system that Toyota calls iForce Max in their trucks, this has an electric motor paired between this 2.4-liter and the 8-speed automatic transmission, which does assist in not only power but also efficiency, giving this a total system output of 326 horsepower and 465 pound-feet of torque. It really is the most powerful 4Runner that we've seen, but this thing is quite heavy. It's a little bit over 5,000 pounds. Toyota has been moving to 4 cylinders and 6 cylinders instead of 6 cylinders and 8 cylinders, not only for emissions, but fuel economy as well. We can be thankful for the MPGs of this hybrid. Toyota rates this at 23 in the city, 24 on the highway, and a combined rating of 23. I've been personally getting 18 MPG this week though. When it comes to reliability, this engine and transmission is still too new for me to give you an actual answer. Really, time will be the answer because I haven't seen many examples of these with over 100,000 miles. I just haven't done my looking either. I expect it to be reliable because it is Toyota, so I would hope it is a reliable engine. And as they usually do throughout the model years, Toyota will perfect and correct all the little niggles and quirks of the powertrain anyway. I tell you what, man, this thing ain't no dango 2UZ, man. 4.7 liter V8 dual overhead cam, ultra low emission, I tell you that. And again, the TRD Pro comes standard with all the off-road technology that I don't even need, like crawl control, multi-terrain select, which actually is smart, rear differential lock, which I would use, front stabilizer disconnect, which I also would use. I just wouldn't use crawl control. I want to do it myself. The new 4Runner sits at 194.9 inches long, making it 5 inches longer than my 4th gen 4Runner, 3 inches longer than the outgoing 5th gen 4Runner, but the wheelbase still stays the same at 112.2 inches, just like the Land Cruiser. The short wheelbase, of course, will be an advantage off-road because we have a better breakover angle than something a little bit longer. This thing also has 10.1 inches of ground clearance, approach angle is 33 degrees, and departure angle is 24 degrees. I will say Toyota is sticking to their roots and they're not disappointing me and all the other 4Runner purists out there because the rear window still slides down. If you have the key fob on you on higher trims, you can drop it, and then you can raise it. And then you lose the satisfying swipe of the rear wiper that's tucked up there, but it's just great. I also really like this rear window. I love how it curves up like the old 4Runners. These two buttons also act as a lock and unlock button for the 4Runner as well. But also, for the first time ever in 4Runner history, we have a power tailgate. I will say this does not open with power if the trunk is, well, if the sliding rear window is open. Back here is probably another reason I would personally stick to a non-hybrid version of a 4Runner or a GX, is because the floor is raised a little bit to fit the battery packs underneath. Because this has a solid rear axle, the battery has to go somewhere. It's not a huge compromise because there's 42.6 cubic feet of volume back here. I can sit back here comfortably. I do have to crouch just a little bit, but I know I would appreciate the little bit extra volume you'd get. If you fold the second row seat flat, you get 82.6 cubic feet of volume. It's very spacious, but because this has the raised floor, if you fold the second row flat, it doesn't actually, you don't get a flat surface. Hybrid models will have a 2400 watt power outlet in the trunk, and this one has the optional ARB air compressor built in the trunk. In addition to it being a compressor, it also has two USB Type-C ports and a power outlet. So I still will say the 4Runner is camping ready, even in this TRD Pro trim. And when it comes to towing, in this TRD Pro with the iForce Max powertrain, Toyota says you can tow 5,800 pounds. As we get in the rear seat, thankfully it has improved compared to previous 4Runners. I will say this seat is all the way back in its tracks because it's in its easy exit mode. But I'm 5'9", and with the seat all the way back in its tracks, so if you're really tall and really selfish, I can still fit my feet under the seat. I have 2 or 3 inches of legroom. Headroom is pretty good because there is an indent in the roof. And the seat itself is pretty comfortable. They don't slide forwards or backwards, but they do recline. It's a 60-40 split seat. We also have an armrest in the center here with 2 cup holders. There's also 2 air vents for rear passengers, which is nice, as well as 2 USB Type-C ports and another 2400 watt power outlet. I appreciate that all 4 windows in the 4Runner are automatic up and down. Toyota also provides us with bottle holders in the rear doors, as well as 2 map pockets. Welcome to the interior of the new 4Runner. If you're used to these newer Toyota trucks, you won't feel like you're too out of the ordinary. First of all, this 4Runner has the new Toyota key fob. You can see it has 4Runner on it, and then also we have the buttons lock, unlock, trunk release, and panic button. But because of this, all we have to do is keep this anywhere inside the car, put our foot on the brake, and press the TRD start button. The interior of the new 4Runner feels just like the interiors of pretty much everything because they have the big 14-inch display, this 3-spoke or 4-spoke leather-wrapped steering wheel. In this case, it has some red marks on it, and TRD because this is the TRD Pro. There are buttons on the wheel. The left side controls the audio and Bluetooth controls, as well as some of the functions in the display. The right side, those buttons control cruise control and some of the advanced safety systems on this as well. Behind the steering wheel, we do not have paddle shifters. We don't need them, but we do have automatic headlights, but we don't have rain sensing wipers. I'm not too crazy with how Toyota configures the menus in their gauges. It's just a little bit clunky. This TRD Pro does not have a heads-up display. In the center, we have this 14-inch touchscreen display. I like it. It's using Toyota's most recent version of their connected services system. I don't have any problems with it. It's relatively responsive, easy to look through the menus. It's pretty simple as well. This, of course, has the JBL audio system, which sounds good. No complaints on my behalf. And it also has a Bluetooth speaker, a JBL Bluetooth speaker, this TRD Pro. Anyways, as you can see, I have Apple CarPlay, wired and wireless, both Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. Earlier today, I've been using Onyx Off-Road. I pay for it. I've not been sponsored by them. Okay. I have been getting used to the sound of a 4-cylinder in this 4Runner, just because all the 4Runners of yesteryear have had V6s or V8s, only the 4th gen with the V8. Especially this TRD Pro has an exhaust on it. It makes this a little bit more buzzy. Thankfully on the highway it's quiet, but there are some times that the exhaust does drone with the windows down and up. You can see, since I kept the shocks on firm on the road, it's pretty tight. It's not like a sports car, but in terms of 4Runners, as far as those go, this drives very well. It feels very light on its feet, very different compared to the 5th gen. The 5th gen kind of lumbers along, but it still handles well. It just feels more like a tank. This one just feels like a new car. But I have had to get used to listening to a 4-cylinder under the hood of this. The 2.4 liter and the hybrid powertrain does work well. It is pretty responsive. It's more about response now because more people are getting rid of the V6s anyway, so it's not a big deal. But as you can see on this pretty road, it's nice to drive. You don't really feel the speed, just like a lot of new cars. You have to be careful because these things have taller center of gravity than something like even a RAV4. Coming in this corner, it takes corners well. This is a pretty road. Wow. North Hill Road, if anyone is interested in back roads. I do have a sport mode, but why? It does make the steering a little bit more responsive, but this is the TRD Pro. I want to be crawling, doing stuff like that. I don't really need to be corner carving, but it is good to be able to do this while you're getting to the trail, because a lot of the trails that you have to get to are with back roads. In sport mode, it has a more synthetic pumped audio sound to it to try to make it sound like a V8 or a deep V6. But there's no need. It does hustle well. Can't complain about that. 4Runners, I have a 4th gen 4Runner, and on back roads that still feels pretty lively. 4Runners just drive good. The 4Runner, this has been fun to drive. I just have more fun with the older ones because I like the mechanical, raw feeling of them. You feel the hydraulic steering. This has a nice weight to it in sport mode, but still, compared to other 4Runners, this feels very light and easy. I even feel like if you put huge tires on this, it wouldn't feel like the steering rack or the power steering itself is bogged down. What a road. How am I supposed to see? Hope for the best. Rear wheel drive. The transmission, this 8-speed, it's kind of clunky. But the 4-speed automatic in my 4th gen is smoother. This, especially when it's cold, it's like... But 465 pound-feet of torque. It hauls. This is faster than any 4Runner has been. But it sounds like a 4-cylinder. 4Runners, I know even the V6 doesn't sound that great when you're at higher revs, but I don't know. This sounds, I don't know, the old 4Runners have been 4-cylinder, so I don't want to focus on that, but the power is good, the response is good, the ride is a little bit firmer than I'd like. A lot of the new Toyota trucks, they seem to ride quite stiff, maybe because they're brand new, but even the 5th gen kind of floated compared to this. The seats in this are pretty comfortable. I don't have anything to complain about because I've driven this quite a bit and I've not once been complaining about my back. 4Runner commutes, conquers, and carries all roads. The exhaust does drone a bit. It's okay. That's why I just get a TRD off-road. I'd rather have this engine if it was quiet. I don't need the sounds. As you can see, this has dual zone climate control. Thankfully, all the knobs are still big and easy to reach. Nothing is embedded into the screen, thankfully. Everything that you need for the HVAC system is a physical button. I'm glad. Thank you, Toyota. Below the climate control, we have a wireless charger. I don't really use wireless chargers. And then there's a place where you can put your phone and then 2 USB Type-C ports and a 12-volt power outlet, thankfully. To the left of the shifter, you can see this multi-function dial. This controls the 4-wheel drive system, one of those, the very bottom toggle. But the bigger knob can control the drive modes right now, and it can also select the different multi-terrain select controls, as well as the crawl control speed. So if you just push the button, then it enables different functions. I like how that works. The armrest has been pretty comfortable, no complaints on my behalf. The center console is kind of shallow, but it's okay. We can see how the pan is in normal. Full throttle. It just, it's a 4-cylinder. It's not fast, but I feel like the V8 4Runner is more thrilling to drive than this. I would say I wish the gas tank was a little bit bigger. I had the same issue with the Land Cruiser. Just if it was a little bit bigger, I could get a little bit more range out of it. Now, we do have a lot of amenities in this. Heated and cooled front seats, memory front seats, a power tilt and telescoping steering wheel. That's a first for the 4Runner. A lot of nice things. We don't have a pano moonroof, at least in this one. There's also a whole array of auxiliary switches that are ready to be wired into whatever mod that you'd like to do. I don't want to be sounding mean or anything, but it kind of feels like you have all these features, all these gadgets, but it's a toy. All the armrests up here, the door card feels pretty decent, but the dash, 4Runner dashes have never been like leather. Ooh, another trail. That's crazy. There's just more trails around here. Burkholder. I have to remember that when I'm watching this video. 4Runners have never been luxurious, but I feel like there's just more plastic than there's been before. And then a lot of things like the center console here moves around. The door cards, if you grab them, when you close the door, it kind of the whole thing kind of wiggles. I have high expectations for the Toyota 4Runner because I grew up with the 3rd gen 4Runner. I have a 4th gen. I have plenty of friends with other 4th gens and 5th gen 4Runners. I know the 4Runner. I would say, as much as I'm like, this thing is a computer, it still does give you that 4Runner feel because it still is body on frame, so it still has a rugged feeling to it, like you could just drive over anything. Overall, I would say for 2025, this is a good 4Runner. I would certainly have little things different. Probably the engine. I'd rather have a newer version of that the 4-liter that we've had. I know it's an old engine, but it's a great motor. If that thing made 300 horsepower, that's good. I don't want the 3.5. Right over here we have our first obstacle. I'm just gonna put myself in 4 low. I'm not gonna lock anything up. For anyone wondering, this is trail 0102. This one is a green. I'm gonna put myself into 4 low, so I'm gonna go into neutral and then 4 low. I'm in 4 low now. And then with 4Runners, you kind of just point and shoot. I'm going to follow the line here. I will be checking myself out. This thing does have great ground clearance, but I just don't have rock sliders. Get a load of this big stretch. Okay. I remember this stump when I was a kid. Yeah, this stump over here, if you have a longer wheelbase vehicle, this might trip you up. But this thing goes over it, no problem. It has the clearance, it has everything. They make the hood so muscular and bulbous that you can't really see. You have to rely on some of these cameras, spotters, or just being able to pick a good line yourself. But it's a 4Runner. Everything here has been easy. I'm not going on black trails. And that, my friends, brings us to the end of our time with the TRD Pro 4Runner. I really had a great time with it today at Wolf Den. I'm glad I chose to come here instead of go down to Virginia, because not all the time I feel like driving 3 hours down to Virginia. The 4Runner itself, of course, is a very capable SUV. It really had no problems here. I would have stayed longer, but they closed in like 10 minutes. Still, after my week with this vehicle, I would prefer to buy a TRD off-road 4Runner just because I don't need the glitz and glam of the TRD Pro. Let me know what you think about the new 4Runner, if any of you in the comments have bought one, and let me know what your opinion is. I'm curious because these are still so new. I appreciate you watching this far through the video, and I hope you learned more about this 6th Gen Toyota 4Runner. And speaking of 4Runners, remember to like, comment, and subscribe for more 4Runner content on this channel as well. But before I keep talking too much, I'm gonna let you guys go. Again, I really appreciate you all hanging out with me today. Thank you for liking, commenting, and subscribing. I'm going to go eat my dinner and get back on the road, and I'll see you all in the next video. Bye, peeps.